I'd like to look at an example of negative feedback with an amplifier involving transistors. Let's take a look at this example circuit. First, let's identify the feedback type. If I imagine that I'm an insect crawling from the source towards the amplifier, I cross the feedback path before reaching it. This is a shunt connection. If I start at the load resistor and I crawl back towards the amplifier, I don't cross the feedback network before reaching the transistor. This is series feedback. There are two transistors in this amplifier. The input to the first amplifier is at the base and the output is at the collector. Therefore, this is a common emitting configuration. It's inverting. The signal then passes into the base of the second transistor and exits through the collector. Therefore, as far as the signal is concerned, it's a common emitter amplifier. Both of these amplifiers are inverting, so overall it's a non-inverting amplifier. However, for the feedback loop, the second transistor is in the common collector configuration. This is a non-inverting amplifier. Therefore, around the feedback path, we have one inversion only. Therefore, this is a negative feedback situation. Since we've identified the feedback type as shunt-series, let's take a moment and return to our chart and remind ourselves what shunt-series feedback does to the input and output impedance. Let's also take a look at the units. In the shunt-series configuration, we expect the input to be a current, the output to be a current, and both A and beta to be dimensionless. We expect shunt-series feedback to reduce the input impedance and increase the output impedance relative to the amplifier without the feedback attached. The correct feedback form is now indicated with current as the source and current as the output. Since the circuit was originally drawn with a voltage source, we need to redraw it as a current source by finding the Norton equivalent. IS can be easily identified as Vs divided by Rs. I'm defining the input impedance to include the source resistance. Looking around the feedback path, we're going to require a Norton equivalent source. Our Norton equivalent resistance is approximately the feedback resistance plus the emitter resistance from that transistor. There will be some more resistance looking up into the emitter of that transistor, and we're going to neglect it. In order to find beta, I'd like to take a look at this junction where the emitter resistance and the feedback resistance meet. From the perspective of an AC signal traveling through this circuit, we have a branch point here. The output current is passing up through that emitter, and the feedback current passes down through the feedback resistor. That's indicated in the boxed diagram. I'm neglecting the current through the base of the second transistor. Therefore, this is only an approximation for beta, which I obtained through using current division. Let's now replace our first transistor amplifier with an equivalent circuit. Let's call its input impedance Rin1, its output impedance Rout1, and its gain, which is inverting, as negative A1. Let's also replace the second transistor amplifier with its equivalent circuit model. Let's call its input impedance Rin2, its output impedance Rout2, and its gain, which is inverting, as minus A2. At the load resistor, I'm defining our output impedance to include the load resistor, because changing the load resistor will also change the output impedance of the circuit. You might notice that I included the feedback network at the input side, but I've not included anything at the output side. Where is the feedback taken into consideration? Well, in fact, because this is series feedback, it's affecting the output impedance of the second amplifier. So the effect of the feedback resistor is baked into Rout2. Although I'm not going to show this, when calculating the output impedance of the second amplifier, the emitter resistor plays a role. That effective emitter resistance is now altered by the fact that we have the feedback resistor in parallel with it. We can neglect the small source, V1, because that voltage should be negligible relative to our voltage at the output, which is amplified. Let's now try to write our circuit in standard form. First, I'd like to apply Ohm's law at the input. Voltage equals current times resistance. We can use voltage division to find V2 in terms of V1. Let's then apply Ohm's law at resistor Rout2. The voltage at this node minus the voltage drop across resistor Rout2 equals the output voltage, which is Iout RL. I can isolate the output current on the right-hand side of that equation. Since our target is an equation containing currents rather than voltage, let's try to eliminate the voltages from this set of equations. I'm going to define A as a set of constants. The reason for this choice will be apparent in a moment. I'm going to start with this third equation. Let's now write voltage V2 from our second equation. For V1, I'll substitute our first equation. We can see that a lot of these terms are defined in A. The only missing term is this in the denominator. We get some cancellation. We now know what both A and beta are. This puts our gain in standard form. Because we've written our gain in standard form and we already know what both A and beta are, we can avoid a lot of the extra work needed to find the input and output impedance. We can now just refer to the chart. For the shunt series configuration, once we've identified both A and beta, we can see that the input impedance with the feedback network attached is just the input impedance of the amplifier divided by 1 minus A beta. The output impedance is just the output impedance without the feedback network multiplied times 1 minus A beta. We already know what A and beta are. Therefore, the input impedance can be written as follows. If I look back at our circuit, I can see that the input impedance without the feedback network is just these three resistors in parallel. At the output side, we can see that without the feedback network attached, our impedance is just the load resistor plus R out 2. This is then multiplied times 1 minus A beta. A and beta are already defined. I have not shown any of the details of calculating the input and output impedances of the individual transistor sections. That probably would not be very difficult to do. The subject of this video was to show how to deal with the feedback resistor. The shunt series feedback in this particular circuit served to lower the gain, lower the input impedance, and increase the output impedance.